I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm joined by my son,
Henry Paur,
and we're here to preview the running back position for the upcoming 2021 fantasy football season. Last week, Henry and I previewed the receiver position. We broke it down for you. It's posted in our draft guide on our site as well. This week, we're attacking the running back position. Henry, you excited about that running back spot?
Yeah, I'm very excited about it this year.
All right, before I get to that, though, we did want to mention here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, we have drafts going off every night, every day, all different formats, different price points. Sign up for one today. Go to rtsports.com, sign up for a money league, or you can get in our commissioner product as well. We host the best leagues on the internet. If you want to run your fantasy leagues here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, go to rtsports.com, sign up for a league today to run on our site, or you can also get in one of our money leagues. Different price points, different formats. We have best ball championship, our fantasy championship too. So we have big time games as well. Go to rtsports.com, sign up for one today. Okay, Henry, let's talk about this running back position for the coming year. We're going to talk about some targets people were avoiding, mid-round targets, late-round gambles, some rookies as well. First of all, though, Henry, let's just talk about the running back position in general. What are your thoughts on it for this coming season?
I feel like it's not that deep. There's guys that are really gonna show more than others. I think it's not that deep this year, and there's some guys that you're gonna take some gambles on these late rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sold on a lot of the, these mid-round guys coming through and being huge fantasy producers. So I'm acting early on the quarterback position. We talked about it in the running and the receiver preview. I feel like receivers really deep. Running back scares me more. I trust more of the top guys. So I'm acting early on running backs this year. In most drafts, I think I'm going running back, running back. I guess it just depends where I'm picking as well. But most of the time, I'm looking running back for my first two picks. Is that kind of how you're leaning too?
That's more what I'm leaning this year with a really deep wide receiver position this year and not that deep running backs. I'm really looking for running back in the first two rounds.
Okay, so we're going running back early. How about some targets, Henry? Who are guys that you're targeting in the draft this year? First one for you.
Jonathan Taylor. He was inconsistent his rookie year, but was still sixth overall in running back scoring. He was very huge late in the year, had 19 plus fantasy points, 5 straight games to end the year. He's capable of leading all running backs in scoring this year, and I very much would like him on my team this year.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor a lot too. I'll give you one, Joe Mixon. So I know he was a disappointment last year. Injuries cut short his season, though. He showed his huge potential last year, though, in that offense. In week 4, he had 42.1 fantasy points. This offense is getting better. They have more pieces. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's really good. I think he's going to be a star. I think that bodes well for Mixon, getting a lot more opportunities to make big plays. He has 1,000-yard rushing seasons, 2 straight before last year. I think he's going to have a big rebound season coming off that injury, and he's going to be a huge fantasy star in 2021. How about another target, Henry?
Cam Akers. He had a big finish last year, and now they're adding Matthew Stafford to that offense, a good quarterback that can really help that offense drive down the field. He get a lot more touches on the goal line, and he had lots of touchdown chances for Akers last year. I think Akers is a top fantasy back that I want on my team for sure this year.
Okay, I like Akers too for a breakout season. I like that call. So you have 2 young backs that you're targeting this year. I'll give you one more, Myles Gaskin. So Gaskin had 972 total yards in just 10 games last year. Kind of flew under the radar, but he was a really good 3-down back for the Dolphins. I think he's a great fit for the offense. I think he'll start from day 1 this year. You can get him as a low-end number 2 or 3 fantasy back, and I really think he has top 10 potential if all things break his way. So that's a guy I've been targeting. Okay, flip side of that, Henry, avoiding guys. So are there any people that you are looking at on this fantasy list this year at running back that you just don't want any part of?
There are some players. First one, Travis Etienne. He's a second-year running back, James Robinson Silverhand, who we all know had a great season last year. I don't even like the pick of Etienne. I don't see what they're doing there. Maybe trying to make Lawrence happy. But Etienne has been seen as a receiver in camp, which is surprising. I mean, he's probably going to be a third down back in our offense. But I just don't trust him with James Robinson Silverhand, who was a top fantasy back last year.
Okay, I kind of like that too. I'm not big on him as well, especially for his current price tag. He's going pretty high. I've actually seen a team drafted ahead of James Robinson in a few leagues, which is a little surprising to me, just a little scary. Okay, one guy I'm avoiding. I know this might not be a popular take, but it's one that I am doing this year. I don't want any part of Derrick Henry. So I did this story in the draft guide, Henry. I loved it. I looked at the biggest workloads in NFL history. So Derrick Henry had a huge workload last year. He ended up being in the top 20 all time in carries for a single season. And if you look at the history of this, I did it. I crunched the numbers. There is not a single player in the history of the NFL that was in the top 20 in all time carries, which Derrick Henry is now, that saw their fantasy production improve the following season. There was just one guy on the list that had his production stay the same. That was Walter Payton. Everybody else saw their production go down. On average, players that were on this list saw a drop of 22 fantasy spots at the running back position the following season. And Derrick Henry, he was 19th overall in carries in his season last year. I'm concerned about this. I know he's built different than most, but I think that's just a huge red flag after doing this research. I'm going to let somebody else take Henry. Maybe I'll regret it, but I just don't see him keeping his current pace after that huge workload last year. All right, Henry, how about another guy you're avoiding?
Chris Carson. He is very injury prone. We saw that last year. And he has never not played a full season in his last 4 years. He's also never had double-digit touchdowns in a year. And I think this is the year Rashad Penny emerges finally as a player. We've seen bright spots for him, and I think this is the year he finally breaks out.
Okay, Henry, another guy I'm avoiding, A.J. Dillon. Some people have this guy on his breakout list. I'm just not seeing it, especially with Aaron Jones re-signed. He was re-signed to a big contract. There's a reason the Packers did that. And Jones has been great in a starting role. I think Dillon will get more work this year than last year. Could have that Jamal Williams role last year that he had last year. But still, even with that said, he wasn't a huge producer, Jamal Williams, in that role. I just don't see A.J. Dillon having a big year in a current backup role. Jones is my guy there. I don't want any part of Dillon, especially for his current price tag, which is pretty high right now. You got to take him as like a number 3 back, even a low end number 2. And I just don't think he's worth the risk at that stage, at that price point, I should say. Okay, how about some mid-round targets? A lot of people say your draft is won in these middle rounds. So these are some guys you can get in the mid rounds that you think could end up being big factors for your fantasy team. How about a mid-round target for you, Henry?
I have Ronald Jones. He had some huge games last year, and I just not sold him for that. And also Jones, I mean, he has the potential to have really big games and produce lots of points. I am very much trying to target him in my middle rounds.
Okay, middle round target for me is Damian Harris. Really like him. Ankle injury cut short his season last year, but he showed really well before the injury. He had 3 100-yard games, double-digit carries, all but a game. He looks the part of an NFL starting back. I think Sony Michel's on his way out in New England. I think Harris will start from day one. I worry about him a little bit because he doesn't catch passes, so that hurts his value a little bit. But even with that said, that offense should be better. He'll get the goal line work, get the early down carries as well, and I think he could have a really good season for that New England team. Okay, Henry, how about another mid-round target for you?
I talked about him earlier when we talked about Chris Carson. I have Rashad Penny. Injuries did have been affecting him a lot, but there is some talent there. And with Chris Carson always being hurt, as I said, being very injury prone, I think he is very much worth the gamble at this point, and I'm going to take the gamble on him.
Okay, another mid-round target for me, Henry. I don't know if he'll be mid-round for long because I'm seeing him move up draft boards a little bit as we speak. But Mike Davis, I've been targeting him in drafts. He had a huge season last year, got to start for Carolina because of the injury to Christian McCaffrey. Davis ended up 12th overall in fantasy running back scoring. He proved he could carry the load. He has next to no competition for carries in Atlanta. That's an explosive offense. I think he's going to get a lot of work, the goal line work as well. And I think he could end up being a really good fantasy player once again, maybe finishing with similar numbers to what he had last year in Carolina. Okay, how about some late round gambles? These are some guys you can get really late in your draft. You think they could end up maybe helping your fantasy team in the end. How about a late round gamble for you, Henry?
I have Tevin Coleman. He could emerge as a starter for the Jets because I am not sold on the rookie running back Michael Carter. He's mostly probably going to be a 3-down back. And Coleman, I think there is talent there. We saw that. And I think he has enough production that I think he can be a great starter for the Jets. And I'm very much taking a late round gamble on that.
Okay, late round gamble for me, Damian Williams. So he sat out last year because of COVID concerns, signed with the Bears, likely take over as their number 2 back. He knows the Bears offense. He played for head coach Matt Nagy before when he was in Kansas City. He has at least 20 receptions all 6 seasons in the NFL. I think he'll get his weekly touches in this offense. He's going to play behind David Montgomery, who had a great finish the last season, but overall has been really inconsistent to date. So I think Williams is a good late round gamble, and I'm looking at him in a lot of my drafts. How about one more late round gamble for you, Henry?
I have a Jamal Williams. He had 741 rushing yards last year in a backup role in Green Bay. And I mean, Swift is just a second-year player. They might not be completely sold on him being that the way he is. I mean, he's a second-year player. And the Lions rotated backs a lot last year. So Williams should get to work even with Swift starting.
Okay, one more late round gamble for me. I think he's going in the late rounds because he doesn't catch many passes, but he should be going higher. Gus Edwards. So he has 3 straight seasons topping 700 rushing yards. He's a clear top backup now for Baltimore because Mark Ingram's gone. He should get around double-digit carries per week in a rush-heavy offense. He's a legit top 40 fantasy back. I think he'll have some big games along the way, especially as he gets some mop-up time if they end up being up big in some games. Edwards is good at doing that on occasion. So I think he's a really good pick in best ball formats. All right, Henry, let's talk about everybody's favorite rookies.
Yeah.
The rookie category. There's some pretty good ones this year.
Yeah.
Who do you like out of this rookie class?
I have Javonte Williams. As we can see, Melvin Gordon is trending the wrong way. He's getting older. I feel like he's not playing the way as he was in Los Angeles. And the Broncos used a second-round pick on him, which means they're probably going to want to use him a lot. He showed some great movement in North Carolina. And he can make plays after contact and makes very good moves in space.
All right, I like Williams too. I think everybody's favorite rookie this year is Najee Harris. He's my top rookie running back as well. I have some concerns about him though, even with that said, because Steelers do not have a great offensive line, have not opened many holes in recent years. So I think that's a little bit of a concern. But even with that said, I think Harris still has good potential because he's a legit 3-down back, catches the ball well, has good moves in space. He's a big back as well. I think he can make plays even if the holes aren't there. So I still think Harris is set up for a lot of work, a lot of carries in this offense. It could be pretty good. So that's good news for him as well. So I think Harris is my top rookie back. I think he could have a really good rookie season. Another rookie for you, Henry.
Chuba Hubbard. He might lessen the word of McCaffrey after he's hurt all year, which they're probably going to rotate backs just because of that, with McCaffrey being injured mostly the whole year last year, played only a couple of weeks. They're probably going to rotate backs, and he's a home run threat at this position, and he has good vision and sets up the blocks very well. I think he's going to be a great backup running back for Carolina, and I mean, they're going to rotate, so he's going to get the work.
All right, one more rookie for you, Trey Sermon. He's shooting up my draft board right now because of the injuries to Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, already banged up. These guys have had issues staying healthy in the past as well. Trey Sermon's there. They used a high draft pick on him. I think this really opens the door for him to be even a bigger factor from day one, getting more reps in training camp and the preseason games. He's a great fit for Mike Shanahan's zone blocking scheme as well. He's a power back with good vision. I think Sermon could really have a really big rookie season, and he's another guy I've been targeting in a lot of my early drafts. All right, Henry, that's the running back preview for 2021. What do you think?
There's some players out there. You some good options. I think there's a decent amount out there this year.
Yeah, a lot of good backs to look at. Again, like we said, we're looking early at the running back spot. We gave you some options to think about taking late as well, but we think we're going to try to get a lot of these elite guys early in drafts to, take out the uncertainty at the position, get these stable players and a lot of these good breakout candidates. You mentioned a couple as well for, second year, third year backs are ready to take their game to another level, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's our running back preview. We appreciate you tuning in. Again, don't forget to go to rtsports.com, sign up for one of our leagues today. We have leagues going off all the time, our money leagues. You can sign up for our commissioner products as well if you want to run your league on our site. We really appreciate your business and opportunity to be a part of your fantasy football season. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.
And Henry Paur.
Have a great day, everyone.